Hello YouTube, Kaitlyn here, and do you like vacations? Duh! So as many of you guys noticed, I was on hiatus from YouTube a couple weeks ago and everyone was like, what happened? Where's the video from Kaitlyn? And guess what? I was on vacation. I totally meant to have a video for you guys that day, but I was really busy before I went on vacation. I was like, I'll finish that video like while I'm on vacation and post it, and that didn't happen, obviously. I was having too much fun. And also Wi-Fi can be kind of weird and scattered when you're not at home. Anyway, a lot of you requested that I would talk about my vacation and tell you what I did. And so here we go! I started my vacation by doing the exact opposite of rest and relaxation by going on a 10-mile hike over 4 hours in 100-degree heat. You intense, girl! Yes, I know. I definitely wasn't anticipating it being 100 degrees, and I knew it was gonna be 10 miles, but I was like prepping weeks beforehand by doing like smaller hikes and thinking like, I can do this, yeah! And I did it, and I didn't even die! That's definitely the longest hike that I've ever done. It necessarily wasn't the most strenuous hike, but it was hard. It's hard to walk in that heat for 10 miles. But it was really pretty, and I felt pretty cool because we didn't bring water with us. We just brought like this filter pouch thing, and so we would just find water sources wherever we went, and that's where we would stop and get water. It would, you know, you'd like take this pouch and drink out of it above your head, and it would filter it as it came down, and it's cool. I felt like, you know, a woodswoman or something. And I also learned that I can't pee in the woods. Like, it's really difficult. Like, there was no one else around, but my body's just like, nope. Nope, this is not happening. You're not gonna take your pants off and be butt naked in the middle of the woods. Like, guys have it a lot easier. Really, seriously, I'm jealous. I also did some rock hopping and sort of swimming in the river. I never got to a place where it was really deep enough to swim, but I kind of sat in like these gross algae-filled pools. And there I learned that you really need to wear water shoes when you go to the river when it's really hot, because the rocks have the sun beating down on them and it makes them really, really hot. And if you're going on barefoot, your feet are gonna burn, and ow. My boyfriend learned this the hard way because his feet got really hot, and so he went running across the rock towards the water thinking, I'll cool my feet off in this water, except as soon as he hit where the water met the rock, well, it's really slippery right there because it's covered in all kinds of algae and, you know, gross river things, and he just was like, whoa, and like fell right in his butt. And it was comic in watching it, but I felt really bad for him. Like, all these people were around us and watching, and oops. I never fell on my butt, but I did do a lot of scrambling on the rocks, and one time while trying to scale a rock up, I just like kind of got halfway up it, and then just my body was like, nope, it can't hold on anymore, and I just went woo and fell back into the water. And I looked, you know, I was doing the whole like, no, don't let me go, but it didn't work, and I definitely fell, and people were watching again too, and what do you do? I would definitely say that I like the ocean better than the river. I'm sorry. I also got to see Jurassic World with my BFF Alana. It was really fun and an awesome movie, and I was surprised because I'd never seen like Jurassic Park or any of the Jurassic movies, and I didn't know how I was going to like it, but I ended up loving it. So much, in fact, that I ended up staying up till 3 a.m. watching Jurassic Park after seeing Jurassic World because I was like, I need to see more of this Jurassic Dino World stuff. Total dino overload. I spent a day in Busch Gardens, and while it was also 100 degrees again and maybe not the best time to be in a theme park, everyone else had kind of left by the time we got there because it was so hot, and I got to just like walk onto rides and go do whatever I wanted to do. There's this show there called Celtic Fire, which has a lot of like the Irish, you know, dancing. That's Russian, I don't know what that is. It premiered last year, but I had never seen it, and we ended up meeting some of the people that were kind of in charge of opening the doors, and they let us in first, and then he kind of pulled us aside and was like, hey, you know, I get to seat people at these little tables in front. It's like special seats. And it's like, I'd really like you to sit down there. Cute couple alert, aww. So we ended up sitting right in the very front where they actually came out on the table that we were sitting in front of and would dance there, and like people's feet were like this close to your head as they're like kicking and doing all kinds of stuff, and it's scary and also exhilarating at the same time. Next we went to Water Country, which is one of my favorite water parks. I love water parks more than I love theme parks, actually, because I can pretty much ride any water ride where I can't always ride every roller coaster. And as you can tell by my Instagram account recently, I really love swimming and pools. I got to ride all my favorite water slides, including this scary like body slide where you're basically going straight down that I had never ridden before, but my boyfriend was like, we need to do this, it's like a big deal and scary, and we should do it. And I grudgingly was like, okay, sure honey, we can do this. It makes my heart beat so fast, and I was like, I'm gonna pass out before I've even gotten even into the slide, much less going down it. But once I did it, it was fine. I probably wouldn't do it again, but I can say that I did it. I'm not really a body slide person. I like being a tube. A tube feels safe, whereas when it's just your body, I don't know, something's gonna happen, like your arm's just gonna rip off, and I know that doesn't make any sense, but that's what comes to my mind. Also, there was so much sunscreen involved. Like basically every day we did something outside, and so every day we were applying sunscreen like every 80 minutes. By the end of the week, my skin didn't really know what my normal oil level was supposed to be. It's like, aren't I just supposed to be like dripping in like sunscreen now every day, right? And I ended the week at the beach and it was great. Yes. As I mentioned before, I love the ocean. I just love sitting and reading or sleeping on the beach, feeling the breeze on my face, hearing the gulls, hearing the swoosh of the waves, being out in the ocean and like diving under waves. It's all just so wonderful and relaxing to me. Of course, as soon as I got there, there was this guy that came out and was like, hey, so there's been bull sharks sighted in these waters, and you're like, what? Sharks, no! We didn't see any sharks, fortunately, but we did see some dolphins. Protect me, please. I had a Ben & Jerry's ice cream sundae one night for dinner, which was great. You don't always get to have ice cream for dinner, but you can on vacation. Probably the weirdest thing that happened was that there was this guy walking around the beach with like these little picture things that you kind of like look into and it shows a picture of something. And he had a camera and he was like, oh, I'll take your picture out on the beach and the professional photos. And he never actually said how much it was, but it's like, I don't want to buy anything from you on the beach. I just want to sit here. We saw him like talking to everyone and I knew he was going to come talk to us soon. And so I looked at my boyfriend and I was like, we should pretend to be like foreign and not speak very good English or something. I didn't actually expect him to do it, but when the guy walked up and started talking to us, suddenly he was Vlad from Ukraine. I think the guy actually believed him. Like the conversation went on long enough and he asked him certain questions that he didn't question. Like he asked him like, how do you say like, I love the beach in Ukrainian? And he just makes up some like, je ne sais pas kind of thing, which sounded mostly like French and nothing like probably would have sounded like. And the guy was like, oh wow, and never was like, you're making this up, stop pretending. There's no way he believed that. I don't know. And then like every good thing, there are also the bad things. Like after being in water country, I went back to my hotel and tried to open my door and I was locked out because apparently the batteries sometimes die in the locks. At least that's what they said when I went to like management and they're like, oh, we'll get security out and they'll let you in and it'll be fine. I'm like, yes, but why do like batteries just suddenly die? That's seems like something you wouldn't want to happen to people. Like what if it was really late at night and you were exhausted and you were locked out? The air conditioner was also leaking and had made this wonderful pool of wetness right where you like walked into the bedroom. And so I kept stepping in the wet carpet and it was gross and I had on socks. And don't you hate that feeling when you're wearing socks and you step on something wet that you didn't think was gonna be wet? Because obviously you're not gonna step on wet things if you're wearing socks and it just is like We also probably walked like a mile up and down the boardwalk at the beach trying to find some place to eat, and it was so hot that we really wanted to be in a place that was air conditioned, but also not a place that was gonna charge like $20 for like one chicken tender. And so that was really difficult, and we showed up at the place we finally ate at like 10 minutes before they were going to close, but we didn't know that they were closing that early. And so we're like, can you seat us? Like, we don't want to bother you. And they did, because they're like, well, the kitchen's not closed. But then as employees were cleaning up, I don't think they realized that there were still customers in the restaurant, and suddenly there was this huge screaming fit right behind us. It was uncomfortable. We were in a booth and this one guy kind of walks up beside us as he was sweeping and realizes that there are customers in this booth, and he's just like, and then walks away. How can you run a restaurant and do that? Like, what? And on the way back, we got stuck in relatively bad traffic where we probably had an extra hour or so on the road than we were supposed to have just sitting in traffic. I hate traffic. And we were all wet and sandy and in our bathing suits, and we hadn't eaten that day, and that just kind of like adds to the uncomfortableness of the entire situation. But that's life. You gotta take the good with the bad. But the lesson that I think I learned from my entire vacation fun and ordeal is that you can't stress out that much, especially not when you're on vacation. I kind of regret that. I would get really stressed when like the littlest thing would go wrong because I had planned it in my head and it's supposed to go right, and when it doesn't go right, I'm really mad about it. And in the moment I knew that I shouldn't be getting upset about it, but I had just like built up everything in my mind to this level of perfection, and when it wasn't like that, I just wanted to explode. So I probably wasted a lot of time that I could have been relaxing, stressing about things that I couldn't change, and I would say don't do that if you're going on vacation or doing something fun this summer. It'll all work out. I know it doesn't feel like it, but it obviously did for me. Like, my good things that happened on my vacation was a lot longer than the few bad things that happened. So what do you think? What are you doing for vacation this year? Tell me in the comments, and remember to like, favorite, share, and subscribe if this video made you smile. See you guys next Thursday. And if you couldn't tell, I'm a very bad life vlogger sometimes because I will be having fun and I don't bring my camera because I'm just like, I want to enjoy this. So I pretty much have no pictures or video of my entire time on vacation. Whoops.